Hey folks, how's it going up there? A toast to Monty. Only a man whose heart is pure can wield this can, and only a man whose ass is narrow can walk through that door. If mine is such an ass, then I shall have it. Tastes good. Anyway, it seems that quite a few people actually enjoyed. Get a little spot there. There we go. Sorry, at times I can be a little bit of a neat freak. At times, although it doesn't appear so. People actually liked a video I did called Lost Roles and said, okay, how about a sequel? And I said, okay. So basically, I have a website. I know Mike OCP Communications did a part one of this. It's on his channel, OCP TV. He did a good job with it. But I wanted to take my take on this. Movie Hole, a website once in a while go to for movie news, did 50 original casting choices. So I'm just going to go through and give my take on it. This is sort of a sequel to Lost Roles. I know someone mentioned why don't you do like Lost sequels, but that's a long one, and it's hard to find info on Lost sequels because you wonder, okay, how much is BS and how much is real. Like I know there was going to be a Cobra 2, and there's many. Unfortunately, there's not many specific websites that boom say these are all the sequels. At least that I've found yet. But anyway, number 50, you have of course the Terminator, and of course at first it was going to be Lance Henriksen. But for those who don't know, by the way, the Lost Roles was basically movies that people were going to star in, but then someone else got the job for various reasons. And like I was saying, Lance Henriksen was going to be the Terminator because uh, James Cameron had worked with Lance Henriksen a little bit on Piranha 2. And he thought, well, the Terminator would look like a regular person. He can infiltrate. But he met with Arnold, and they other people wanted Arnold to play the good guy, and Arnold's like, I like to play Terminator. And James Cameron's like, oh, that's cool. But O.J. Simpson was at one time, but I think something said was, America wouldn't believe such a nice guy could be a killer. If that's not an ironic statement, I don't know what the fuck is. Fucking O.J. Simpson. Oh, who would believe a nice guy would be a killer? You know, and then you have the whole spiel. Did he do it? Did he not do it? He did it! I don't know. But I know Sylvester Stallone. He was actually offered the role. Of course, that's kind of the play in Last Action Hero where you have that great standee of Sylvester Stallone and Terminator 2. What he was great in that? This is his best role. But Stallone, I couldn't see him doing the Terminator. It's like, I'll be back. So, I'll be back. I can't see him doing it. Maybe because, Arnold, you just think of him as, the Terminator. I just don't think Stallone would have done well as the Terminator. Maybe. Maybe if Stallone did something like that nowadays. I know there's one that's supposed to be kind of like a bad lieutenant type of movie that he wants to do, but it'd be interesting to see him as a cold-blooded villain. But, well, we'll see. Um, Number 49, Kevin Costner was up for the role of the Jack Ryan in The Hunt for Red October. Weirdly enough, Harrison Ford had passed on it, and he would later be Jack Ryan in the other Patriot games and Clear and Present Danger. But yeah, Kevin Costner was approached for the role. But he turned it down. And Kevin Costner as Jack Ryan. It's probably not on here, but I remember Kevin Costner was also offered the role in Air Force One, I believe. He was offered the president in Air Force One. That one I'm glad he didn't do, because Harrison Ford really did a great job in Air Force One. Because Kevin Costner, you just wouldn't buy him, and was a hardcore tough president kicking ass. Die hard on a president plane. But Harrison Ford, you did. Here though, for The Hunt for Red October, I could see Kevin Costner as Jack Ryan in that film. I really could. I mean, Hunt for Red October, I haven't seen it in ages. I remember not being the biggest fan of it, though. I remember being kind of bored. But maybe I'd give it another shot one day. Actually see the whole thing through. And I think I saw bits and pieces like a long time ago, but I could see Kevin Costner as Jack Ryan in Hunt for Red October. I can see that. Alec Baldwin's not really one of my favorite actors, to be honest. He was good in Beetlejuice. It's probably one of his best roles, to be honest. John Travolta in American Gigolo. I don't know. I mean, I guess Travolta also passed on An Officer and a Gentleman, and later on Chicago, and Richard Gere got all of them. I think even Stallone passed on some of this stuff too, and Richard Gere got it. Um, I've never seen American Gigolo, so whether John Travolta would have worked or not, I don't know. But those who've seen it, you can let me know. Number 47, Matthew Modine as Maverick in Top Gun. Matthew Modine was Paramount's first and only choice to play the lead role in Top Gun. It was an instant pass for Modine. So who gets it? Up-and-coming guy named Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise, man, he went nowhere, did he? Matthew Modine, you passed on this, and then you accepted Cutthroat Island. Where is he now? I saw him in like a little tiny role in The Transporter 2. But man, Matthew Modine. Tom Cruise did a much better job than Matthew Modine would have done, to be honest. Let's see. Number 46, you have Jim Carrey as Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. Of course, I know that Jim Carrey, Sean Penn, and Benicio del Toro, they were originally going to be the Three Stooges in that new Three Stooges movie that came out. Fairly Brothers. It was pretty close because, Sean Penn, I think was going to be... I think Sean Penn was going to be Larry, which I can't see that. Benicio del Toro, I think was going to be Mo. And Jim Carrey, he was actually packing on pounds to be Curly. Then that never happened. But I'll be honest, it'd definitely be interesting. It'd probably be bad, but I would have okay, I'm intrigued. But yeah, I guess they wanted Jim Carrey for Shaggy. Warner Brothers liked what he did with Batman Forever. Let's see. They wanted Jim Carrey to be Shaggy, and they attached Sarah Gilbert from Roseanne as Velma, but it didn't get too far. Development hell for 3 more years, and then Jim Carrey was too big to start to consider such a movie, and well. Matthew Lillard did a good job as Shaggy, so I was fine with that. Matthew Lillard, he did a really good job as Shaggy. I mean, even if you don't like the film, yeah, I admit he played Shaggy pretty damn perfectly, in my opinion. Yeah, I admit that. Number 45, The Godfather. Well, first, before this, I don't know if they mentioned it, but I know Sylvester Stallone was actually approached to, I think, star, but at least direct Godfather 3. That's right, Godfather 3. Stallone to direct Godfather 3? I'm not a big fan of Godfather, and even that's what? I think Winona Ryder, they wanted her to star in Godfather 3, but then that didn't happen, so you had Sofia Coppola, or whoever the hell her name is. which everybody hated, but I don't remember Godfather 3. But I guess the first one, Burt Reynolds as Sonny Corleone. Perrin wanted to Smoking the Bandit Heartthrob to play Marlon Brando's son in the film, but Marlon Brando didn't. Marlon Brando carried so much weight that he had final casting approval over his co-stars. And when he found out that Burt Reynolds was in the running to play his on-screen son, he said no. Which I think worked well. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Godfather, but, Al Pacino did fine. Marlon Brando seemingly always had the final say. He even vetoed the casting of Sylvester Stallone as Superman. Well, we didn't need to see Stallone as Superman. Of course, with Star Wars, number 44, they had a bunch of stuff I mentioned, including like Kurt Russell, Chevy Chase. A lot of people wanted to be Han Solo. Christopher Walken tried to go out for Han Solo as well. I can't buy that either. I already mentioned this before. Tom Selleck for Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. Kim Basinger as Helena and Boxing Helena. I think this actually has an interesting story. Even though I've never seen the movie. Kim Basinger, seemingly realizing how shitty the script was, pulled out of the film at the 11th hour, ultimately leading director Jennifer Lynch to sue her in court. Lynch wanted $9 million for violation of a verbal contract. The award was overturned on appeal, and the case was settled out of court. Then Sherilyn Fenn replaced Basinger as the amputee in a box. Amputee in a box? What the fuck is this movie about? Okay. Number 41, I mentioned this, Godfather 3, Winona Ryder as Mary Corleone. She was originally cast, and either Winona Ryder left because she was ill, or she wanted to do Edward Scissorhands with then-boyfriend Johnny Depp. Director's kid Sofia Coppola would replace Ryder, and then everybody shitted on it. Number 40 and 39, I mentioned these. Number 40, Sylvester Stallone, Beverly Hills Cop, but then that later became Cobra, and then they got Eddie Murphy, which worked out for the best. Number 39, Die Hard was originally written as a sequel to Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But then they said, we're going to be standalone. And it is a lot of people, not only Schwarzenegger, but he said no. Stallone, Burt Reynolds, Richard Gere, Mel Gibson, Harrison Ford. They all said no. Then Bruce Willis got the job, and that's fine because Bruce Willis made it his own. This is interesting. Number 30, Batman Forever. Mel Gibson as Harvey Two-Face Dent. Gibson had been offered the role of the Scorch Attorney in the third Batman film, but had to pass on the project because of a scheduling clash with Braveheart. Apparently, there was a time where Mel Gibson was actually offered James Bond as well, but that didn't happen. I don't know, Mel Gibson as Two-Face? I don't know. Although I'm not really a fan of Mel Gibson nowadays. I mean, I know he's apologized countless times. I know he has to separate the stuff, but Mel Gibson just rubs me the wrong way nowadays. Just, I understand no one's perfect. I understand that. Even people I like Stallone and stuff, have made mistakes too. I understand that too. But just listening to those phone conversations, as much of a bitch maybe that woman was, you can't say the N-word. The word that rhymes with Tigger. That's not even a word I would never say, even if I got pissed. Here's a hint, Mel Gibson, don't get drunk. You don't say that word. That's just like that's a word that I just think of it, it sounds stupid, but even when I hear someone say that word, it makes me want to punch them. The sounds with Tigger, but you know what I mean. I'm like, dude, you worked with Danny Glover, and you're going. I don't know. I don't know. just bugs me so much. I don't know. It's I know it's weird, but it just gets me just physically like I don't know. It's weird to explain. I know, but maybe I'm just a weird guy. But I hate that word with a passion. Anyone who uses that word with a passion just. Of course, I'm the type of guy in videos and even in tonnage, he's like, "Oh, he's a faggot." That's only usually when I'm mimicking the Van Damme's double impact. He's wearing black silk underwear. He'll always be a faggot. But granted, that's a harsh word too, so I don't really use that word anymore except now. But that's just to show a point. But that's a harsh word too, so. Um, but I just using it in such a hateful way, like it's just ugly, it really is. So I don't know. I know he's got that new film, Get the Gringo. I mean, the film itself looks maybe fun, but I don't know. I just maybe I gotta try to warm up the Mel Gibson again. I don't know. Number 37, I may have mentioned this. Warren Beatty as Bill for Kill Bill. I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy Warren Beatty as the villain in Kill Bill. David Carradine worked much better. Ghostbusters, of course, I always talked about John Candy, who was going to be Louis Tully. Eddie Murphy was going to play Winston. I think someone else also mentioned Gregory Hines was up for it. Uh, but of course, John Belushi was going to be Peter Venkman. He was going to be Belushi and Dan Aykroyd coming back from Blues Brothers, but Belushi passed away. Uh, Batman, I know there's a lot of things for Batman, like Bill Murray and Robin Williams. He really wanted to be the Joker. I think later on he really wanted to be the Riddler, but then that didn't happen. Apparently, Michael J. Fox was one of the actors considered for Batman for the 1989 Batman film. He was also considered for the role of Robin, but director Tim Burton nixed the idea of including Robin in the first flick. A couple years later, Michael J. Fox was also on the wish list to play Daredevil. I can't see Michael J. Fox playing any of those roles. I mean, not just because of, unfortunately, what happened to him, but I just can't see Michael J. Fox doing that. I don't know. Maybe Daredevil would be maybe interesting, but I don't know. I'm just maybe it's because, as we all know, he has Alzheimer's, um, and why do I think that's not the right word? Is it Parkinson's? Not Alzheimer's. Yeah, it's Parkinson's. Yeah, not Alzheimer's. Oh, God. I'm the one who has Alzheimer's. But yeah, Parkinson's. Which is too bad because Michael J. Fox. I mean, on a real note, it's sad. It sucks. There's a lot of shitty people in the world who deserve. I mean, shitty. I mean, like they deserve any horrible thing they get. But yeah, a guy like this, talented guy, he gets Parkinson's. That's just shitty. Beyond shit. It's sad. So, yeah, I mean, maybe he could have played Daredevil. But I like what Ben Affleck did, too. Number 34, Alien 3. This sounds... In one of the earlier incarnations of Alien 3, presumably the one set on Earth, Arnold Schwarzenegger would have played a space-age Marine that joins Ripley in the fight against the aliens. Arnold Schwarzenegger as unnamed Marine. Why didn't we get that movie? Yeah, I have shorts on. Deal with it. Hotter than motherfucker. Why didn't we get that movie? Fuck, man, come on. Arnold and Ellen Ripley. Of course not. And I know it's weird because this popped in my head. I know I mentioned this at the end. The movie Cabin in the Woods, which I know some people like. Some guy was kind of fighting me on it, going, "Well, maybe they made that ending a shitty ending because they didn't want to make a sequel." And I'm like, you ever seen Alien 3? They didn't. They killed everybody, but when money talks, bullshit walks. Oh fuck it, we killed everybody, but they still made a sequel and two AVP movies and a fucking prequel. So that's not gonna do shit. Yeah, kill everybody. Number 33, I think I mentioned this. Candyman. The producers considered offering the role to Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's Candyman. Give me a fucking break, man. Then you had Batman Returns. I think that's the one Sean Young wanted to be Catwoman, and she went like ape shit in the thing, and of course she didn't get it. I don't know if she was because she went ape shit or she got hurt, Sean Young. I can't remember now. I think she went like ape shit. Um, but then of course, well, it's like I'm not sure they'll mention this here. It's like Nicole Kidman. She was going to star in Panic Room, but then I think she got. I think like she, they realized she was pregnant or something like that. I think it was Nicole Kidman, or she got hurt, something like that. Maybe she got hurt, and I know then it was Jodie Foster that got in the Panic Room. But I guess Annette Bening was up for. She was originally cast. Oh, maybe this is what I'm thinking of. Maybe Nicole Kidman, she got hurt or something. Yeah, Annette Bening was originally cast as Catwoman, but fell pregnant just before the film went into production. So Michelle Pfeiffer was hired to replace her. Of course, number 33. This is the famous one. Dougray Scott as Wolverine. Again, I think Russell Crowe at one time was up for Wolverine, but then Dougray Scott was cast. But Fox was forced to hire another actor to play the part when filming on Mission Impossible 2 went over schedule. Well, Hugh Jackman played it well. I mean, that may be the only character he will be known for, but he played it well. Number 32, Stuart Townsend as Aragorn in Lord of the Rings. Well, Viggo Mortensen, he's better. When Brett Ratner was in charge of rebooting the Superman film franchise, he was quick to approach his Red Dragon star Anthony Hopkins as playing Superman's dad, Jor-El. He was apparently quite excited. Hopkins was apparently quite excited at the prospect of being involved in the big-scale superhero blockbuster. But Brett Ratner soon left the project. Bryan Singer decided to simply use archive material of Marlon Brand's Jor-El. Of course, this was for Superman Returns. Maybe that's why Anthony Hopkins did Thor. Oh yeah, number 30, Michelle Pfeiffer as Clarice Starling. Regular subscribers to the movie magazines of the early 90s will recall Michelle Pfeiffer attaching herself to a feature film version of Silence of the Lambs. At the time, Gene Hackman was in talks to play Hannibal Lecter. Pfeiffer ultimately decided that the material was too dark and disturbing for her liking, so Jodie Foster was given a shot. Well, Jodie Foster did a great job, but really? Dark and disturbing? What do you think? I mean, you also did Wolf and Batman Returns, and so I don't understand that, but whatever. I think the original Manhunter, one of the guys up for Lecter, I think it was John Lithgow, maybe, or I know it was something like that. I'm like, wow, that'd be interesting. I know it was something like that. I may be wrong. Might be a different actor. Number 29, Sleep in Seattle. Julia Roberts as Annie Reed, but Meg Ryan got it. I don't really care about that. The Matrix, of course, I mentioned Will Smith, but also I guess Tom Cruise was up for Neo as well, but instead he decided to do Magnolia. Well, they didn't kind of do a good job as that. Of course, Back to the Future, Eric Stoltz was hired and then fired. But actually, the producers issued a national casting call. One of the guys was Johnny Depp. But the Back to the Future gang did not think he was good enough fit for Marty. But then Johnny Depp did 21 Jump Street, so that worked well. Number 26. After the success of Crocodile Dundee, Paul Hogan packed his bags for L.A., where he quickly snagged a plum picture deal with Paramount Pictures. Paramount offered him a couple of pictures. One was Almost an Angel, the other was Ghost. Paul Hogan picked Almost an Angel. Maybe it was for the best. Patrick Swayze did a good job in Ghost. He worked well. I like Paul Hogan, though. Number 25, yeah. Total Recall, I know at one time, I think they wanted, yeah. I know way back then, Blade Runner, they wanted Dustin Hoffman, I think, for Blade Runner. But here's like, Richard Dreyfuss had been attached to Total Recall. But the film he was attached to was far from an action picture. In the earlier incarnation, Dreyfuss's Quaid would have been a Walter Mitty-like character who experiences a variety of artificially induced fantasies. So it was not an action film. Years later, Patrick Swayze was attached to star in a version of Total Recall, with producers considering shooting it on the Gold Coast in Australia. Well, it'd be nice to see what Patrick Swayze would have done, but I'm glad Arnold did it. But I like Patrick Swayze as well. Let's see. Number 24, Henry Winkler as Danny Zuko in Grease. Well, it would have just been like, Happy Days, so it wouldn't have been too much of a stress. John Travolta did a good job with that. Oh yeah, I heard about this. Sammy Davis Jr. was the original choice for Beetlejuice. Sammy Davis Jr., man. I'm glad Michael Keaton died because he made it his own. This one, number 22. Charlie Sheen wasn't a star in 1984, but his name meant something as a consequence. Both Charlie Sheen and brother Emilio Estevez found many door openings to them that would have otherwise had slammed shut if they weren't the sons of Martin Sheen. Among the many offers Charlie Sheen received in the early 80s was one to play a bullied teenager who learns martial arts in an effort to protect himself against the thugs who make his life hell. Charlie Sheen passed on The Karate Kid. But of course, Ralph Macchio got it, and Ralph Macchio did a good job with it. When Harry Met Sally, Molly Ringwald as Sally. Wow. Rob Reiner's first choice was Molly Ringwald, but she passed on it. She even passed on Pretty Woman. But, Meg Ryan got When Harry Met Sally, and she did fine with it. Wall Street, Richard Gere as Gordon Gekko. Wow. Director Oliver Stone had offered the part to Richard Gere, but Gere wasn't interested, so it involves Michael Douglas, who I think he won an Oscar for that. Sorry, Richard Gere. Number 19, Romancing the Stone. I know they pitched it to Stallone, and Stallone did Rhinestone instead. But yes, actually Christopher Reeve they wanted for Jack T. Colton in Romancing the Stone. One such filmmaker was a big fan of Christopher Reeve, Robert Zemeckis, and he'd actually asked the actor if he'd be keen on doing Romancing the Stone. But Christopher Reeve didn't do it, and Michael Douglas got it. Well, that's too bad. I think it would have been nice to see Christopher Reeve in that kind of role. I know someone mentioned this actually, and I saved it for here. Number 18, um, 1988, Spider-Man. When James Cameron snagged the rights to Spider-Man in the late 80s, his go-to guy was Michael Biehn. But the film was blocked because of fucking rights issues. And Michael Biehn and James Cameron would never work together again. Well, I mean, I guess, The Abyss, but maybe this was done after, maybe this would have been after The Abyss, but that would have been nice to see Michael Biehn, man. As an actual man, Spider-Man. Number 17, Jodie Foster for our Schwarzenegger's wife in True Lies. Would have been interesting, but I like Jamie Lee Curtis in True Lies. I'm glad she got it. Every young actress in town tests for the role of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the 90s film Buffy. The studio's original choice was Alyssa Milano, but turned them down, and then Christy Swanson got it. Well, that didn't do much of anything for either one's career, so it didn't matter. Of course, I've mentioned this before, Face Off. Boot studios always tried to pair up Stallone and Schwarzenegger. But that didn't happen. Face Off, I mean, I like Face Off, but with Schwarzenegger and Stallone together, it would have been so much better, too, man. It would have been epic. Basic Instinct 2, Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Michael Glass. When Michael Douglas sensibly gave the project, well, he passed on it, studio offered to every actor, including Robert Downey Jr., but he went to jail. For good reason. Oh yeah, number 13, Tom Cruise as Iron Man. Throughout the 90s, Tom Cruise's name was frequently associated with the project, even when the project passed hands from Fox to New Line Cinema, with the actor himself confirming multiple times that he was not only interested but looking forward to playing one of his favorite superheroes. And Tom Cruise was also going to produce the film. New Line Cinema lost the rights to the film. Whole project went cold, and then a couple years later, Paramount has it, and you have Robert Downey Jr. And Robert Downey Jr. was born to play Tony Stark. He did a good job. This would have been interesting, even though a lot of people hate the film. Before deciding on relative newcomer Eric Bana, Universal and director Ang Lee met with a few actors to play Bruce Banner, including David Duchovny, who was said to be jumping at the bit to play the Hulk. So I guess David Duchovny really wanted to play the Hulk, Bruce Banner, but that didn't happen. They went with Eric Bana. I like David Duchovny. I really like Evolution. I wish the guy would get more roles in movies, like, even a horror film, like a straight-out horror film. I think it'd be interesting, but what do I know? Oh yeah, Walter Hill had asked Mickey Rourke to play the good guy cop opposite Eddie Murphy's convict in 48 Hours, but he didn't do it, which is too bad. But I like Nick Nolte in that. Number 10, Sylvester Stallone as He-Man. But he passed the offer, and says here Sly suggested Dolph Lundgren, who he had worked with in Rocky IV. Huh. I'm not really a big fan of Masters Universe. I mean, it has its moments, but I don't know. It has its moments, but it's not the Dolph Lundgren film I look to like, oh yeah. Yeah, I'd go more for Red Scorpion, or I Come in Peace. But Stallone, nah, it's He-Man. Number 9, The Fugitive, Alec Baldwin as Dr. Richard Kimball. Even Andy Garcia was off of the part. I'm glad Harrison Ford did such a much better job than Al Baldwin would have done. I'm sorry. I gotta be honest. Oh, I mentioned this before, number 8. Blade Runner. I guess they approached to Gene Hammond, Clint Eastwood, Scott Glenn, and of course Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman was Ridley Scott's first pick to play Deckard. Uh, but Dustin Hoffman pulled out because he was never truly convinced that he was the right guy to play a macho action hero, and likely knew he was only cast because his name meant something at the box office. This is at the time, 1982. I guess Dustin Hoffman, he was being smart on it. But still, Dustin Hoffman, I'm glad Harrison Ford got it, even though I know I think even nowadays some people pick on Harrison Ford's performance on Blade Runner, but I'm glad he got it. I think even Edward James Olmos, I think Edward James Olmos was like, he didn't like the fact that Harrison Ford got it. I know Edward James Olmos in an interview said that he was the wrong man for the job. I'm not sure what he said. I forget what name he said. I forget what it was. He mentioned another actor. I think he mentioned Kurt Russell. I believe so. I believe he mentioned Kurt Russell. I believe so. But I may be wrong in that. I forget who the hell it was he mentioned. It was an interview that he did. I can't remember the interview. I really can't. Yeah, I can't remember. I think that's what it was, though. I think there's somewhere in there where he mentioned someone like Kurt Russell or Dennis Quaid, or he mentioned one of those guys. I can't remember who, but oh, that'd be interesting. Harrison Ford or Dennis Quaid as Deckard. That would have been interesting too. Um, Number 7, The Doors. John Travolta as Jim Morrison. No, no, nah. Number 6, Ghost Rider. Johnny Depp as Johnny Blaze. Johnny Depp was not interested in taking on the role of the blazing, Ghost Rider. But by the time Sony finally got around to doing the film, Depp was a huge box office star, thus wasn't interested. I wonder what Michael, if he's watching this, I know he mentioned Ghost Rider, he read more of the comments. What do you think? Johnny Depp instead of Nicolas Cage? This is a sad one, because I remember this. Wesley Snipes as Hail Caesar in the Expendables. I like Terry Crews, but Wesley Snipes would have been cooler. And Snipes was interested, but a lot of the film filmed in Brazil, and he couldn't go because he can't leave the U.S. because he was his tax problems. The government, the law is like Wesley Snipes cannot leave the country, otherwise we'll arrest his ass. So he couldn't do it, which is sad. Which that pissed me off because I mentioned this before. But with Wesley Snipes, granted, Wesley, yeah, pay your taxes. But fuck, man, that Victor Salva asshole who directed Jeepers Creepers, he served like 18 months, and he filmed himself touching little kids. Yeah, Wesley Snipes is serving 3 years. He didn't get out in 18 months. Hell, he would have been in Expendables too. This is bullshit. It's bullshit. I would like to have seen Wesley Snipes as Hail Caesar. That would have been fucking awesome. Number 4, I mentioned this, Leonardo DiCaprio as Patrick Bateman, American Psycho. Thankfully, Christian Bale did a much better job. Number 3, this is sad. Interview with the Vampire. River Phoenix as Malloy, the Christian Slayer role. At the time of his death, River Phoenix was filming his role in Neil Jordan's Interview with the Vampire. But this is really cool. I gotta give credit to Christian Slater. Christian Slater took over the role and would not accept payment. That's pretty cool. That's a nice move on Christian Slater. The guy seems like a nice guy. Christian Slater, that's huge. That's big props with me with that guy. I'd give him props, Christian Slater. Stand-up guy. That was pretty good. Number 2, Man on the Moon. Edward Norton as Andy Kaufman. Milos Forman had a choice: Edward Norton or Jim Carrey. Both actors really wanted the role, but realized Carrey was probably going to bring more eyeballs to the film. I don't know. I mean, Man on the Moon, I just never cared about Andy Kaufman himself, so the movie didn't really get me. Number 1, they have your Psycho, Joaquin Phoenix as Norman Bates. Having knocked his socks off with his turn in To Die For, director Gus Van Sant had hoped to retain the services of young Joaquin Phoenix for his remake of Psycho. But, of course, Vince Vaughn did it. And one of the most useless movies in film history, the Psycho remake. That really is a movie that just is fucking beyond pointless and shit. It's like, why the fuck is this movie being made? And why the fuck? It just made no damn sense. But that was the 50 films. I wonder if this website is working. Because I know another guy mentioned you can find a lot of this stuff at www.notstarring.com. For instance, Dennis Quaid. According to Empire Magazine, Dennis Quaid turned down the role in Backdraft that went to Caruso, which is too bad, but Caruso did a good job. Apparently, Dennis Quaid was considered for the part of Gordon that Gary Oldman got in Batman Begins. I wonder what Mike OCP thinks about that. Dennis Quaid as Commissioner Gordon in Batman Begins. Imagine that. But Gary Oldman does a good job in those movies, but Dennis Quaid? I like Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid told Larry King that he turned down the part in Big because he wanted to do Everybody's All-American, where he made the wrong choice. I remember this. Dennis Quaid was considered for the part of Bob in Halloween, but he was busy on another project. I remember this. Can you imagine? Imagine if that was Dennis Quaid getting killed by Michael Myers in Halloween. The original Halloween, wow. Dennis Quaid was considered for Kevin Costner's part in JFK. Considered for the lead role that Richard Gere got in An Officer and a Gentleman. Rain Man. The script was originally written with Dennis Quaid and Randy Quaid in the lead roles. That's interesting. I did not know that. World Trade Center. Dennis Quaid was considered for a role in that. That is interesting. That is interesting. Wow. Let me see. Let me flip through a little more of this stuff. Let's see. Schwarzenegger was considered for the role of Robert Rath in Assassins. See, that's another movie that could have been Stallone and Schwarzenegger. Assassins. Schwarzenegger was considered for the role of Steve Rogers, Captain America, but did not get the part due to his accent. This is when the 90s one was being done that Matt Salinger got. IMDb reports that Curious George was originally going to be made as a live-action movie in the 90s with Schwarzenegger as the man in the yellow hat. Jesus. Now this one is sad. Michael Keane, if you're listening, listen to this. In the mid-90s, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Ridley Scott we're going to do I Am Legend. And Mike OCP has a book that there were going to be real makeup effects on the vampire zombies, whatever you want to call them, vampires. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Ridley Scott in I Am Legend. And this was in the mid-90s. Which was better. That fucking pisses me off. That really does. Fuck. Fuck. Just, I can't believe fuck. Fuck. Oh yeah, the way before when I was talking about Michael Biehn and Spider-Man, I know James Cameron wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to be Doc Ock. I don't know if I could see Schwarzenegger as Doc Ock. It'd be probably too much like Mr. Freeze was. Schwarzenegger was considered for the role of that Samuel L. Jackson played in SWAT. That would have been interesting. That would have been interesting, really. That would be, huh. That would be interesting. Cool. Interesting. But I Am Legend, man, that pissed me off. Charlie Sheen, winning. He was considered for the lead role in Born on the 4th of July. He turned down the role that went to Woody Harrelson in The Cowboy Way. He was considered for the lead in Cutthroat Island and Batman. Charlie Sheen was reportedly offered Will Ferrell's role in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, but he turned it down because he couldn't get a grasp on the character. Charlie Sheen was considered for the role of Maverick in Top Gun, but was determined to be too young. And Charlie Sheen was considered for the lead role in Point Break that Keanu Reeves got. Interesting. Let's see. Let's do a few more. This is kind of an interesting thing. If I can think of good ones, actors-wise. Well, yeah, that will work, and that'll work. And let me find this guy here. There we go. Kurt Russell turned down the role of Andrew Glass because of the nudity required in Basic Instinct 2. It's a good move. I mentioned this before. Kurt Russell was considered for the role of Commissioner Gordon in Batman Begins. I guess he was considered for the role of Batman in Batman Forever. That would have been interesting. Kurt Russell was Batman. Also, when they were doing that Batman Triumphant, Kurt Russell was considered for the role of Batman. Of course, he was offered a role in the Expendables, but the agent is like, he does not do ensemble. Yeah, he's doing Django Unchained with Quentin Tarantino, which is an ensemble. Makes a lot of fucking sense. Kurt Russell turned down the lead in Jurassic Park due to salary demands. That's a bad move. I like Sam Neill, but man, Kurt Russell in the lead in Jurassic Park? That would have been awesome. That would have been fucking awesome. I'm going to say right there. I like Jurassic Park, but that would have been fucking awesome, Kurt Russell. So Christopher Reeve. He turned down the Gary Oldman part in Hannibal. Christopher Reeve was originally considered for the lead role in The Running Man. He was also considered to play Quaid in Total Recall. Huh. He was offered the role that Tom Hanks played in Philadelphia, but he wrote a letter to producers saying that the role was too depressing. Wow. I do miss Christopher Reeve. I really do. Keanu Reeves. He passed on the role that Eddie Murphy played in Bullfinger. Turned down the lead in Cutthroat Island. Oh, wow. Keanu Reeves turned down the lead in Fly 2. The Fly 2, which went to Eric Stoltz. Wow, Keanu Reeves in The Fly 2? Keanu Reeves was given the part that Val Kilmer got, but for some reason he was let go and Val Kilmer got it in Heat. That's too bad. Keanu Reeves was offered the part of Private Chris Taylor in Platoon before he went to Charlie Sheen. You know that movie Shooter with Mark Wahlberg? Keanu Reeves was named the lead, but at the time the movie got stalled. Wow. Damn. Let's see. I know there's a bunch others, but, well, might as well check out this guy. Let's see. Might as well check out Sylvester Stallone. Considered for the role of Jack Case in 48 Hours. He was the second choice for Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin. He was originally offered the role of William Baldwin played in Fair Game. This is sad. He was hoping to work with Quentin Tarantino in his new Grindhouse film, but Rocky and Rambo duties prevented that from happening. He was also considered for the role that Robert De Niro played in Jackie Brown. And he was also considered for the role of Butch or Vincent in Pulp Fiction. So, man, him and Quentin Tarantino never don't work together, I guess. He was offered a role in Seven, but now he wishes he had done it. Well, of course. He turned down the role that Mark Ruffalo played in Shutter Island. Well, I would have watched the film if that was the case. Why? Sylvester Stallone was considered to play Harrison Ford's role in Witness. No, I'm not sure he would work in that. Reportedly one of many actors considered for the role of Eddie Valiant in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Nah, he wouldn't have worked on that. Let me look at directors. Steven Spielberg. He was considered to direct Big, and he wanted Harrison Ford to star. But of course, I went to Penny Marshall. Steven Spielberg turned down to offer the direct Collateral, which I'm actually glad because Michael Mann did a better job with that. Steven Spielberg turned down the offer to direct Last Action Hero to do Schindler's List. He backed out of the director's chair of Rain Man to star in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which that was for the best. Steven Spielberg was intended to direct Return of the Jedi, but he couldn't accept because of the issues George Lucas had with the Directors Guild. I think even David Lynch was approached to do Return of the Jedi, but I think he said no. Yeah, I don't know how the hell David Lynch would have done. Can you imagine David Lynch doing Return of the Jedi? Wonder what the hell that would have been like. Be like fucking David Cronenberg did fucking Return of the Jedi. Like, what the fuck? Let's see. Speaking of which, is David Cronenberg on here? Oh, they only have one movie. After Paul Verhoeven passed, David Cronenberg was attached in 2000 for Basic Instinct 2. Glad he didn't do that. Oh, Bruce Campbell, let's see. Sam Raimi wanted Bruce Campbell for the lead in Dark Man, but studios didn't. Well, Liam Neeson played it well. Bruce Campbell auditioned for the role of Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore. That would have been funny. Adam Sandler beating the shit out of Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell was the first choice to play Louis Creed in Pet Sematary? Bruce Campbell was considered to star in Snakes on the Plane in a previous version of the project. He was a finalist for the role of the Phantom, but Billy Zane got it. Oh yeah, John Carpenter. He was the first choice to direct The Golden Child, but they didn't. So of course, then he did Big Trouble in Little China. But might as well end it with John Carpenter. So I know one time he was going to direct Firestarter, but because the thing flopped, they fired his ass. Which is fucking bullshit, but whatever. But anyway, thanks for listening to another What If. Ciao, and we'll see you later. Thanks for watching.